All right, so it is August 28th. We're in Bountiful, Utah with Dr. Eugene Peay, and you have been in dentistry since what year?
1964.
That's the year I was born. So I can do the math on that one, if I can remember how old I am. So about 52 years.
Right.
Wow.
This month, actually.
Wow. Holy cow. And you still seem to enjoy what you do. I mean, I'm still your patient, and you worked on my wife and I just a week or two ago whenever we were just here. And
Now, there's some parts I still enjoy. Some of it's getting a little old.
yeah. Well,
basically, it's a relationship with people, I think.
you have a lot of your patients are more or less old friends
Yes.
you've seen for a lot of years. And yeah.
In fact, we had a lady in here on Friday who I looked at her chart, and she's now has 3 children. We first did orthodontics for her 35 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah. It didn't seem that long ago, probably.
No.
Well, you have not only been a dentist for over half a century, and but you have really represented a certain kind of dentistry, and not so much going in the main current of dentistry, but you've been aware that the mouth can have huge impacts on health, the jaw, the bite, the cranium, and so forth. So you've had what I think a more of a holistic perspective. You've used muscle testing, you do craniosacral work. Virtually every visit I've ever had, you've always finished with some craniosacral work with me. You've done muscle testing with me. How did you were you kind of more holistic and alternative minded before even going to dental school, or when did that all happen?
No, I was not holistically minded at all when I went into dental school. I just went to dental school to become a dentist to earn a living. But after I got out of dental school, I started wondering, because I noticed that people were clenching and grinding their teeth a lot. And kept wondering why, because I don't remember being taught that in dental school at all. And the Bible has 14 references to weeping and wailing and gnashing your teeth. And I began to wonder why we do that. And one day I received a letter from a guy by the name of George Eversole in Las Vegas, who was offering a course in kinesiology, which I'd never heard of, but I was fascinated by it. And he was the one that introduced a lot of dentists in this country to muscle testing, nutrition, acupuncture, craniosacral therapy, functional orthodontic appliances, and offered a whole different approach to dentistry. That's what really got me interested in this process.
So in essence, he became your mentor.
Yes.
And was he a dentist himself?
No, he was not.
Okay.
But he's a genius.
Yeah.
He still lives in Las Vegas. Now he's developed a process called Aqua Stretch, which has to do with relieving chronic pain in the body through stretching the muscles in the body in a pool of water.
Yeah. Okay. So you started studying with him. What year would have that been?
That was in the late 70s.
Okay. So you, for about 15 years or so, you were...
Actually, for about 15 years I was just doing dentistry, basically.
Using amalgam fillings.
Using amalgam fillings and basically just doing the things we were taught to do in dental school.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit how important you think the teeth themselves are and the bite.
The teeth are very important because I believe that our teeth represent our own internal support system to our body. And when we're under stress, we clench and grind our teeth, and if our bite is not balanced, it can cause dysfunctional systems in the body to happen. I think my perception is, I never read this, is that our teeth are like the keys on a computer, and when our bite is not correct, it may send inappropriate messages to our brain, which then may affect certain organ systems in our body, which can cause our body to malfunction in some way. And that's what I think the important thing about the bite is. And some people have perfect bites and they don't have any problems. Some people don't, they don't have any problems. So there's more to it than just those two mechanical things.
Mm-hmm. I've not made an extensive study of the nerve supply of teeth. And I do know, however, from personal experience that, in the upper neck and the mastoid area, sphenoid area, and such, you have this massive web of cranial nerves, and there's all this interplay that can happen from the different cranial nerves. I had a vocal cord injury that was causing tooth pain, causing ear pain, etc. And so I gained an awareness of how just the proximity of all of these things cause them to spill into each other, even though the pathology is only in one area. Have you seen where, like, tooth pathology, so there's one, the bite being off and so forth, which is kind of more of a functional thing, but have you seen where tooth pathology has clearly, with some of your patients, had broad impacts on their overall health picture?
Well, you could have an abscessed tooth, for instance, and have referred pain to other parts of your body, especially your head and neck area. There are 68 pair of muscles in your neck related to chewing and swallowing, and you can have a muscle problem that can cause you to have a toothache, and vice versa. It's hard to know which came first, the chicken or the egg. So you kind of have to look at the whole body to see how it's all interrelated. And everybody won't have the same symptoms from the same cause. And
is this one of the ways that you've relied on muscle testing to help you ferret some of that out?
Very helpful sometimes to ferret that out. Just depends on, again, the person.
Yeah. Is there a case or two that comes to mind that really drove home to you, wow, this is not just a little island in someone's mouth, this is really impacting this person, and when you got issues resolved, you've seen them really turn around?
Probably the most dramatic case I have ever seen, and I wish I had a video of it, but I don't. It was a lady from Nevada that came into the office one day with her whole body tremoring, and she couldn't talk very well. She talked like she was retarded, severely retarded. She sat down in the dental chair, and I looked in her mouth, and on the lower left side on her tongue she had a yellow spot, and the teeth and back in that area of her mouth, one of them had a gold crown on it, and the other one had a mercury filling in it. I did some muscle testing and found that there was a dysfunction there, so I took the gold crown off her tooth. And as soon as that crown was taken off her tooth, all the tremoring stopped, and she could talk normal. You'd have to see this to believe it, because it was so bizarre.
Yeah.
I took the gold crown and put it back in her mouth, and the tremors all came back instantly.
When you put it back in her mouth, you mean like on her tongue, or you actually set it
on? No, on her tongue.
Just on her tongue.
And I had to do a lot of cranial therapy and energy work on her to get her system calmed down after that. I took the mercury filling out of her tooth also. The gold spot on her tongue was, where the yellow spot was, right next to the gold crown. There was apparently a galvanic irritation reaction between the 2 different metals in her mouth.
Hmm.
I suggested that she take the gold crown hole and put it in some water and shake it up to make a homeopathic remedy out of the gold to see what that would do to her system. She called me 2 days later and told me that her tongue had turned black, which I assumed was probably her body detoxifying the heavy metals in her system. Over a period of, I don't know, a year or 2, she kept coming back every couple of months, and we removed 2 or 3 more mercury fillings. Every time we'd touch one of her teeth, she'd start trembling again. Once the fillings were taken out, she would calm down and be fine. That was like 17 or 18 years ago. She was a nurse in the state prison in Nevada, and she had a hard time recovering from all that. She had other therapies done by an osteopath in Nevada. To this day, she's doing much better, but she still isn't 100%, but she doesn't have all the trembling anymore. That's probably the most dramatic case I've ever seen.
Let's talk about dental materials for a second. I know currently you're not doing implants and root canals. You've done those in the past, I suspect.
Have never done any implants. I've done root canals before.
Okay, so there's some controversy around mercury. Controversy in that some people say it doesn't matter at all. Controversy in that some people are saying get all of them drilled and busted and taken out of your mouth as quickly as you can. Where are you on that spectrum now, and where have you been in the past that's kind of helped develop where you've landed?
Well, I took courses from Hal Huggins back in the 80s, who was been the proponent of no root canals and no mercury fillings for many, many years. He's passed away a year or so ago. I've always done muscle testing with people to see if their fillings were causing them a problem. If they weren't, through muscle testing, I left them alone. Materials, some people, I guess, are not bothered by mercury. Some people are highly, apparently sensitive to it. You can also have different metals in crowns in your mouth, and if you have that, many times you may have a low voltage battery effect in your mouth by having dissimilar metals in your mouth in a moist environment. People over the past, I've had a couple of patients who could hear the radio playing in their head. It's like an antenna. By removing the heavy metals, according to muscle testing, that would go away. Root canals, that's a controversy in dentistry still. There's a lot of people think you shouldn't do them. Some people think there's no problem with them. I think that's an individual thing. I don't think it's just a matter you should take them all out, because then you have the problem of how do you put the teeth back, because you have a problem with jaw support if you take the teeth out and replace them with something else. Implants, there are 2 kinds of implants, titanium and also zirconium implants. Some people think titanium's fine, some people don't. Again, I think it's an individual thing. I have a couple of patients that have titanium implants in to hold their dentures in, and they're doing much better with those than they did without them, because their dentures will stay in and they can eat. So again, I don't think it's not one size fits all. And I think muscle testing is a way to ask the body if this is appropriate for this particular individual.
Have you had experiences where you felt muscle testing kind of let you down in predicting a course, a clinical course with a particular patient?
Occasionally it has, but I think there's other factors involved in that, because sometimes it's a matter of mind over matter. And so, in other words, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter sometimes, but for some people, they have other issues going on mentally or spiritually that may override what you might pick up muscle testing wise. Muscle testing is just a tool. It's not the end-all answer to everybody's dilemma or a way to diagnose every problem. It's just a tool to help you maybe see which direction you need to go. I've also come to realize that every person has their own process for getting well. And just because muscle testing doesn't work for some people, maybe it's not time for them to incorporate whatever procedure you think may need to be done. So I've learned over the years that many times you just have to learn what that person's process is and try to get in touch with it, because their body you're dealing with is not yours.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in the last couple of things that you just said there. Just gonna create a